was actually in charge to stop any of this? And the answer was kind of no one. As of June 30th, T1 has basically been running without a proper CEO. Marsh's term just kept getting extended in short stages, while SK and Comcast argued over whether to reappoint him or find someone new. And that final decision deadline passed with no decision. So for now, it's still just Joe. And here's another small sussy bit. Earlier this year, word got out that Marsh had been extended all the way to March 2029. That came from a board meeting in April, and it showed up in an official SK Telecom filing. So on paper, it was meant to be like a done deal. Except Article 2 says that's not what happened. Sources say the reappointment was never finalized. One SK insider basically said, that's just what the document says. It isn't settled. There's still stuff to work out with Comcast and the shareholders. So the paperwork says one thing, but the people involved say another. And the blame should land pretty squarely on the majority holder. SK Square owns 53% of T1 and Comcast 34%. There'd been rumors SK might sell T1 off, but their chairman, Che Tae-won, shut that down and said there is no sale. But more than this, what it tells us is that when T1 and their leadership/owners have a hard no they can give, they give it. Not a no comment. They already know about the Marsh agency connection and how the sponsorship setup works. They still haven't sorted the CEO situation after months. So a structure with a built-in conflict of interest is sitting right there, and the one group with the power to sort it out just doesn't, or hasn't, or won't. Now, if you're sitting there going, this all sounds a bit shit.
A child finds drugs at home and turns them into police. The person taken into custody is...
Bro, what a ducking snitch. Are you kidding me? What a narc. Are you... What the... What a rat.
Own mother.
Really, it's heartbreaking moments right there that unfolded.
See, she should have bought him a PlayStation 5. She's regretting that shit now.
Caught on video. 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy has this story you'll only see here.
A child hands a police officer a bag of drugs.
Thank you. So, we were called to come check on your son.
A second police officer tries to comfort him.
What's up, little man? What's going on? Hey, I'm Officer Hanson. You scared? What's going on, man? What's going on? Do you want to take a seat on the bench?
He's got my phone in the bathroom for like an hour.
This is the boy's mother, Kendra Long.
I have no idea.
I have no idea what that is.
Well, you just handed it to me.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know.
So this is your child?
This is my baby. Yes, he's been in the bathroom for an hour.
Okay.
Literally an hour.
The child had FaceTimed his father while
Is she trying to... Bro, did the dad put him up to it?
In the bathroom. The parents are divorced. The dad called police.
Bro, he doesn't have to make child support payments anymore. Problem fucking solved.
Police.
He was showing Tony this stuff that he found in the house.
I don't even know what that is.
Well, I don't either.
The other officer then talks to the 9-year-old boy who's in tears.
And what did you find inside the house that made you scared? Okay. Do you know what drugs look like?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Just take some deep breaths.
He says he found the drugs under his mother's nightstand.
I just saw a couple baggies. I was curious. Pull it out, and then I really knew what it was.
Yeah, from like TV and stuff.
What?
Like you thought like maybe it was drugs from.
Because that is kind of a good question a police officer would ask. Like, how do you know what drugs are? You're 9. How do you know this?
And stuff.
Yeah.
Officers examined the drugs.
Yeah, that's a lot of meth. Wow.
It's not just like a little baggie.
A lot of meth.
You know. Yeah, it's like one of my top 5. You know, in my 20-year career of meth hauls.
I can honestly say after 21 years, it's the first time that kids walked out with 12 pounds of meth in a baggie and handed it to us. That is meth.
New high score.
That's quite a bit of meth. It's not just, recreational or personal use. That's like enough for, a couple hundred people to party on a weekend. However, yeah.
Turns out this was more than 100 grams of meth, according to police.
That you do have the right to remain silent.
Me?
Uh-huh. If you give up that right, you can say anything you say can will be used against you in a court of law. It's in your house. This is your house.
This is not my. I don't even know this was here. I can't even understand or fathom the fact that this is drugs in my house.
Long is arrested for drug.
The police officers are like, you had no idea. Of course you didn't. You have no. How could that possibly be here? And, you know, you see, like, the police officers, like, they're not arguing with her or escalating the situation. They're like, of course, ma'am. You had no idea. Now, just turn around so we can arrest you, and I want to get home early today, all right? Yep, for sure. Completely, yep, absolutely. It's just what we've got to do, you know?
Trafficking and child abuse.
Does Cuss feel okay?
This was in July of 2022. Long posted a $25,000 bond that same day. Violated a family court order and broke numerous other rules, court records show. Still, she received no hard prison time and was given probation, which prosecutors say she violated. She was also...
Really? Wow. White people much? It's not because she's a white. It's because she's a woman. Women get way less time in prison than men do. Look it up.
Sent to an inpatient drug treatment program. In her criminal case, prosecutors pointed to these text messages showing she clearly was dealing drugs. You want a $100 bag or half? The deal take...
What? You mean they couldn't figure this shit out? Oh my God.
Taking place with her son home. So it appears this was all an act.
I mean, to me, it looks probably like methamphetamine, you know.
What's that?
Like,
You know what meth is. Like, yeah, he's like, you know what meth, what are you doing?
whatever. Like, I mean,
Come on.
What happens?
Everybody knows what meth is. You watch Breaking Bad. I mean, Jesus.
It's just like, you know, like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, shut the fuck up. I love how he immediately just calls her out on it. This cop's great, yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Well, you should.
While police say his...
This cop's great, yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Well, you should.
While police say his mother is lying, the child is recognized for his honesty.
Wow.
Good job, buddy. Proud of you. You did the right thing.
Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
The 8 News
Was
Now
that his
investigators
dad?
reached out.
You should.
While police say his mother is lying, the child is recognized for his honesty.
Wow.
Good job, buddy. Proud of you. You did the right thing.
Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
The 8 News
Was
Now
that his
investigators
dad?
reached out to Long's lawyer to try and get her side of the story during a phone call. Instead of providing a statement, he hung up. The attorney did. What you may be wondering, what happened with the child, her son. His dad picked him up that night, and he is currently living with his father.
I bet that's the dad.
Hold on, because you just...
Oh boy.
Call my mom and I want to step out. Okay, I need you to step out the vehicle for me real quick. Excuse me. Hey. Hey, put the window, just put the window down.
Just put the window down now.
Put the window down.
Oh, fuck. They got Alex Jones in here.
Open the window. Open the window.
38
I'll
years
open
old.
it for you.
38 years old.
Open
You
the
can't
window,
open the
or I'll
window.
open it for you.
38.
We're trying to listen to you, but you need to put the window down.
Do me a favor.
Yes.
Get your car and pull it behind him.
Got it.
While a newly arrived officer pulls up behind the suspect, blocking him in, things are about to go off the rails.
I can't hear you. He wants to call his mommy.
You're 38. 38 years old trying to call his fucking mom. Oh my God. It's insane.
I can't hear you, bud.
Hey,
do me a favor. Just put it in park for me. He's hit the thing here. You just put it in park and roll down the window?
Oh my
¿Qué
God.
pasó? Ok, ¿qué fue el problema? ¿Usted necesita el médico? ¿Qué pasó?
Wait, what
I
happened?
was coming. He cut.
He cut through you with his car or by himself?
Hey, bud. Can you put it in park? What are you reaching for? No, put it in park. Put it in park. Okay, can you put it in park for me? It's in reverse, so don't balk over there.
It's actually crazy. Like, they give him every single chance to just get out of the car. Just get out.
You off on the left side.
Just get out.
Okay, were you hurt? Did he hit your car? You're okay? Okay. Just give me a second.
What are you reaching for? Do not f***ing reach, man. I can't see shit. Stop reaching for things. Stop reaching for shit. Do not reach. Stop reaching
bust
for
the
stuff.
fucking window,
Do it.
bro.
Stop f***ing reaching.
Hey,
What is he doing?
Do not f***ing reach, bro. Do you have a window punch? I have a window punch. Please get it.
put the window down.
Dude, get the window punch. Yeah. You want me to smack? Hit it? Back window. He's reaching for shit. Back window. Look, I'm going to break your window if you don't put it in park. I'm going to break your window if you don't put it in park.
Do it.
What? Don't put it in park. I'm going to break your window if you don't put it in park.
Do it. Dude, that sergeant, he knew. He clocked this immediately. He says, put the car behind him. Put the car behind him, bro. This dude got outplayed.
Stop.
He got outplayed.
Stop.
Get out of the car.
Stop. You tried that car one more time, I will shoot. Watch your back.
Pop his ass.
Get window punch, now.
Get out of the car.
The window punch. Get back, dumbass. What do you want? Bust this window
Some
out
civilian.
now. Sir, stop now.
Just bust the under window out too. Fuck him.
Die by the cartel. What's traffic?
He's drunk.
Open that door.
Jesus.
Get out. Get him out. Get him out.
Jesus, bro. Jesus, that cop just went in there.
Get his arm.
Holy shit.
I'm gonna die anyway.
You're feeding me to the fucking wolves. I can't tell my mom to love her.
Give us your other arm. Give it now.
I just want to call my mother and say bye. And you know you're feeding me to them.
Stop moving.
Why would you kill me? Why the fuck?
guys checked already?
Dude, hey, check under the seat. He was reaching like a mother.
Cell phone.
Yeah.
That was it.
Just a cell phone?
In there at least?
I haven't.
was it?
I was dealing with this. I haven't even made contact with inside.
Swear on my life. Just want to tell everyone.
All right, give us a second.
A second what? For me to die?
No, for us to come.
He's
gonna die? Like what?
Chase me around? Can you please let me call her now? I got another minute or two left. Bro, just dial it and leave.
Hey, did he pay at all, or what was the issue with him?
The issue is he came to the store and be like somebody's chasing him. Can you use the phone? And then he opened the he came to the store and be like somebody's chasing him. Can you use the phone? And then he opened the drink while I'm trying to give him the phone. I'll be like, if you pay for the drink, and I'll give you the phone to call 911. And he'd be like, oh, I don't want to call 911 anymore. I want to call my mom for the last time. And still lie to her, things like that. Just pay for the drink. And he kept talking and cursing everybody in the store. Chasing him. Can you use the phone? And then he opened the drink while I'm trying to give him the phone. I'll be like, if you pay for the drink, and I'll give you the phone to call 911. And he'd be like, oh, I don't want to call 911 anymore. I want to call my mom for the last time. And still lie to her, things like that. Just pay for the drink. And he kept talking and cursing everybody in the store, and then he went behind that counter, and I told him to leave the counter.
If you're with cartel, his mom's probably some cartel connected. He's trying to get info going.
No, the only little drink he opened and drank he did, and then he grabbed that gun here, he grabbed this here, and stopped. Knock it on the.
What the fuck?
Okay.
What do you want to do about the drink?
Bro.
The drink? Nothing.
And you're the manager?
Yes, I am.
Please, I love my f***ing mother. Can you imagine? You're gonna die and not f***ing tell your mom you love her?
Just a 20. She doesn't want to do anything about it. Oh, there's crack. There's crack in the side handle right here.
There's crack in the side handle. Okay, there it is. So we have a crackhead. What a surprise. A crackhead that's trying to, a 38-year-old crackhead trying to call his mom to get him out of an arrest because he wouldn't get out of the car. Yeah. That's right.
2 rocks.
So that's got to be what that is then.
No, this is his end pack.
What's that mean?
It's like a little pouch for nicotine, but this is crack.
Yeah, that's correct.
Your redneck
He
ass.
doesn't even know. Your redneck ass should know what that is. True.
So, you know what that is?
As fire arrives on scene to treat the suspect and officers, the suspect gets a burst of energy.
It's probably the crack.
Cartel! He's gonna kill Ronald!
It's probably the crack. Yep.
Stop fighting.
I just want to tell my mom I love her. Why would you do this?
Get your feet in.
And you live like this?
Get your
Sit
feet
back.
in.
And you're okay?
You want me to call your mom, right? Sit back.
You know what I did? I tried stopping them from smuggling women.
Your lights down, man. I'll help you out.
Why won't you let me tell my mom? Are your
Right.
cameras on?
Yes, they're on.
Let me say.
Sit up. Sit up.
Full of shit.
Put your feet down, bud.
I just want to say,
Put your
Mom,
feet
I
down
love
so we
you,
can sit you
and
up.
let the motherfuckers kill me.
Put your feet down.
Dude, it's you really have to say that, like, the amount of fucking psyoping that they've done with, like, these different people that think that, like, the police are about to kill them all the time, it's actually so dangerous.
So we can sit you up.
I just want to say bye to my mom.
Listen, you're making this hard.
I just want to say goodbye to my mother before I leave her.
He's obviously not going to listen.
I want to say goodbye to my mother before I get killed by the cartel. That's all I want to fucking do. And guess what? You have none of your cameras on.
There you go.
You're a piece of shit.
Hold it up.
All right.
Yeah.
What?
Everywhere. Hey, how's the AC for you, bud?
You're killing me, man. Let me say goodbye, man.
Yeah.
Listen, bud, what was your name? I never got your name.
No response.
So how can I call your family if I don't even know your name or their numbers?
I'm a bad person. I make $80,000 a year, and I'm a good person.
You make $80,000 a year? Okay, so you're probably selling drugs. That's probably what's happening. Yeah, selling crack, maybe?
Am I supposed to call?
Hey, these cops are killing me because I f***ed with the cartel.
That's
and they're
right.
drugging me to f***ing kill me. And my name is Chris, and the cartel is coming to kill me. And these cops f***ing work.
What's the...
Just, no.
What?
We're gonna give him ketamine.
So we're gonna stick him while he's in the car, stick in a controlled environment. Then we're gonna hobble him, put him on the car. Okay, so we're sticking him.
Yeah, we're gonna give him ketamine.
Then we're gonna pull him out. We're drawing it up right now.
Put me in jail for it.
Bud,
I didn't do anything.
Relax, don't kick.
Because you work for the cartel, and you're all killing me. You're all killing me. Cartel.
Jesus.
My name is Chris,
Jesus.
and I'm being murdered. I'm being fucking murdered.
Unfortunately
I'm being
not.
murdered. I swear to
What a
God.
psycho.
I am being murdered by a fucking cartel. You're all fucking murderers. You're making me overdose
Jesus.
and kill me. You gotta make me 5 times. You're an asshole.
Oh, they
How
made
you
him do.
sleep?
They made him do the crack. The police made him do the crack.
Ben Knight. Can you tell my mom that you know love her?
It's not that
Yes,
much
we will
blood.
tell your mom.
It's really not that much.
Spit everywhere?
He's fine. Yeah. The bag of shame.
But if you were being cooperative, we
The
can
bag
try.
of shame.
You're killing me.
Okay.
You're overdosing me on purpose.
We didn't overdose you on
I got
purpose.
ketamine. It's gonna be choking my blood. Why do you think I ran to Wawa to tell my mom that you guys are killing me? You're overdosing me on ketamine. I don't do ketamine.
I only do crack. Yeah.
I got chased by the fucking cartel, and they're ready to chop me up in pieces. Yeah, I said it.
Oh my
And you all
God.
motherfuckers work for them. Nobody is ever gonna see me ever again. And
It's
I'm gonna lose my
revenge
kid.
for all the trafficked women you
They're
saved.
killing me.
Yeah.
Danilovich.
Yeah, look, the needle's in my arm.
When he goes home, we're gonna go out your way.
You don't think it'd be easier to pull him by the shoulders that way? There he goes.
All right, let's go.
Taking him?
Yep.
What a fucking idiot. Oh my God.
They overdosed me.
See, this right here, this is a mental patient. This is a person that needs to be in an asylum. And I want you to think about the fact that the day before this day, he was out there running wild. He was running wild, doing whatever he wanted, being himself. Can you imagine how problematic it is that a person like this is being themselves? That's scary.
And whatever the they gave me. I smoke crack and drink beer. I'm not gonna die from that. They hit me with 10 needles, and I'll show up my report. Tell my mother, cartels are cut me up.
Oh, they're cutting him up now.
Work for
They got him strapped down like a fish.
Once you hit 18, your mommy can't save you. You can be angry, paranoid, drunk, or spiraling, but if you're sitting behind the wheel of a car, you're in control of something that weighs over a ton. And think about this, when your mind is slipping and your foot's still near the gas, the entire world becomes a potential target. And I've seen people fall apart in that driver's seat, eyes glazed, words slurred, and caught between rage and panic. Sometimes it's mental illness, sometimes it's drugs, and sometimes it's just someone who's reached the end of their rope. But to an officer, all those versions look the same at first, unstable and capable of doing something deadly in a second. When cops approach a car like this, they're not just walking into a conversation, they're stepping into a situation where the engine itself is a threat and every second counts. Breaking glass isn't about aggression, it's about survival. When someone's mentally gone but still gripping the steering wheel, that glass is the only thing between you and getting control of the suspect. Not every breakdown looks violent at first. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's someone rocking back and forth, muttering to themselves, but in the blink of an eye, that quiet can turn explosive, especially when their mind is gone. And people may see this video and say, why not wait them out? Well, because time isn't neutral. The longer you wait, the more that instability grows. Every cop I know has been there. One side of your brain wants to calm things down. The other screaming to act before someone gets hurt. So you're balancing compassion with command presence. And if you hesitate, the headlines will say officers failed to act, just as fast as they'll say the officer went too far. There's no perfect move, only the least tragic one.
This suspect, Chris, was charged with possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia, resisting an officer without violence.
How are you getting resisting without violence whenever you literally violently slam your car against their car in order to get away from them? I feel like that's violence. Personally, like, I really think so.
With a suspended license and felony fleeing or attempting to elude police. He is innocent unless proven guilty.
Oh, he didn't have a driver's license. Who could have expected that?
In a court of law. And legend says he still hasn't been able to call his mother.
Okay. What a fucking idiot. What a fucking retard, bro. Like, I don't even know what's wrong with somebody like this. I really don't. Like, they're out of their fucking mind. Let me link you guys the video. It makes no sense. Yes, I know she declined the call. I mean, he was probably trying to call somebody that he was selling drugs to one way or another to try to give them or tip them off that, like, you know, something was going to happen.
A single rabbit can turn a few pounds of grass into a pound of meat faster than almost any animal on the planet. She can get pregnant again within hours of giving birth. She can produce a new litter every month, and within 12 weeks, that litter is ready for the table. No other mammal humans have ever farmed comes close to that math. So here's the question that doesn't add up. If rabbit is this efficient, why isn't it sitting next to chicken and beef in every grocery store in America? Why does the idea of eating one feel, to most people in the English-speaking world, somewhere between strange and upsetting? Let's start with the numbers, because they're almost absurd. A cow takes roughly 9 months of eating one feel, to most people in the English-speaking world, somewhere between strange and upsetting. Let's start with the numbers, because they're almost absurd. A cow takes roughly 9 months of pregnancy, and another 1.5 years of growing before it's ready for slaughter. It eats enormous amounts of feed and water to get there, and it produces 1 calf at a time. A rabbit takes about a month to gestate. She can deliver 6 to 12 babies in a single litter, and she can be pregnant again the same day she gives birth. In theory, one female rabbit and her offspring could produce more usable meat in a year than a single cow produces in its entire lifetime. Rabbits also convert feed into protein more efficiently than cattle or sheep. They need a fraction of the water, and they can be raised in a backyard hutch instead of acres of grazing land. Environmentally, on paper, rabbit farming looks like one of the smartest ways to feed a planet running short on space and water. It's not just efficient to raise either. Rabbit meat is leaner than almost anything else on a menu, higher in protein per gram than chicken, beef, or pork, and lower in fat and cholesterol than all three. Nutritionists in the 1940s actually pointed to this. Wartime health pamphlets described rabbit as one of the healthiest proteins a family could put on the table. Cheap, lean, and easy to raise, even in a city backyard. On efficiency, on nutrition, on cost, rabbit was quietly winning on almost every measurable category. At the exact moment it was about to disappear from Western plates for good. And this isn't some new discovery. Governments have known this for a long time. During the Second World War, when meat was rationed across the United States, the Department of Agriculture actively encouraged families to raise rabbits in their backyards. Pamphlets went out with titles like Domestic Rabbit Raising, promoting rabbit as a cheap, fast, high-protein alternative to beef and pork. In Britain, it was even more widespread. Wartime rabbit clubs sprang up in nearly every town, and rabbit meat became one of the most common proteins on the table, partly because rabbits weren't rationed the way beef and pork were. For a few years, tens of millions of people across 2 countries were eating rabbit regularly, and it wasn't strange at all. It was just dinner. Then the war ended, and something happened that's hard to explain with economics alone. Rabbit consumption in the US and UK didn't just decline, it collapsed. Within a couple of decades, rabbit had gone from a wartime staple to something most people had never tasted and weren't sure they wanted to. Meanwhile, chicken, a genuinely less efficient animal to raise pound for pound, exploded into the most popular meat in both countries. So what changed? One answer is disease. In the 1950s, a virus called myxomatosis tore through European rabbit populations. It was originally released deliberately in Australia to control wild rabbit numbers, and it spread from there, jumping between wild and domestic populations. The disease causes severe swelling, blindness, and a slow, visible death. The outbreak in Britain was especially brutal. Within 2 years of its arrival in 1953, myxomatosis had wiped out an estimated 99% of the wild rabbit population. Newspapers ran photographs of rabbits blinded and dying in fields, and public reaction split in an unexpected direction. Instead of treating it as pest control, working as intended, much of the country was horrified. Animal welfare groups condemned the disease as needlessly cruel, and for millions of people, the image of a suffering rabbit became inseparable from the animal itself. For a public that had just spent years eating rabbit regularly, watching it become associated with a horrifying, disfiguring illness did lasting damage to its reputation as food. But disease alone doesn't explain why rabbit never recovered once the outbreaks faded. For that, you have to look at what happened to rabbits outside the farm. Post-war prosperity meant more families could afford pets, and rabbits, small, soft, quiet, easy to keep in a hutch in the yard, became one of the most popular children's pets in both countries. At almost the exact moment rabbit farming was declining, rabbit keeping as a pet was rising. And culture noticed. Peter Rabbit had already been charming children since 1902. Bugs Bunny arrived in 1940, quick-witted, lovable, always outsmarting the hunter trying to eat him. Thumper hopped through Bambi in 1942. By the time a generation of American and British children grew up, rabbits weren't livestock in their imagination. They were characters. They had names, personalities, and famously, they always won. Psychologists have a term for what happens next. It's called the meat paradox, the discomfort that comes from loving animals while also eating them. Most people resolve that discomfort by mentally sorting animals into two categories, ones that are food and ones that aren't. And once an animal lands in the not food category in a culture's imagination, it tends to stay there, regardless of how efficient or practical it would be to eat. Pigs are, by most measures, at least as intelligent as dogs. Cows form friendships and hold grudges against specific individuals for years. None of that stops either animal from being farmed at massive scale, because neither one occupies the pet category in the popular imagination the way a rabbit does. The line was never really drawn by intelligence or efficiency. It was drawn by exposure, by which animals a culture grew up loving as characters instead of counting as dinner. There's a second, quieter reason too. One that has nothing to do with feelings and everything to do with factories. Chicken didn't just win because people liked it. Chicken won because it was, and still is, extraordinarily easy to industrialize. Chickens grow fast, they're small and uniform, and processing them on an assembly line is mechanically simple. Rabbits, despite their efficient biology, are awkward on an industrial scale. Their carcasses are oddly shaped, their bones are delicate and easily shattered by machinery built for other animals, and slaughtering them at speed has historically required far more manual labor than chicken does. So even though a rabbit converts feed into meat impressively well, the economics of scale never lined up in America or Britain the way they did for chicken. Rabbit stayed small, local, and slightly old-fashioned, while chicken became a national industry with its own supply chains, marketing budgets, and fast food empires built entirely around it. Here's where the story gets more interesting, though, because the premise of "we don't eat rabbit" isn't actually true worldwide. It's true in a fairly narrow slice of the world. In France, rabbit is a completely unremarkable menu item, sold in ordinary grocery stores next to chicken and pork. Italy has regional dishes built around it going back centuries. Spain, Portugal, China, and parts of Latin America all eat rabbit regularly, without any of the hesitation that shows up in the US or UK. China alone raises and consumes more rabbit meat than the rest of the world combined, hundreds of millions of rabbits a year, mostly without a second thought. So the real mystery isn't, why don't humans eat the most efficient meat available? Humans, broadly, do. The real mystery is much narrower. Why did two specific countries, the US and the UK, spend the 20th century building an emotional wall around one particular animal, right at the same moment that animal was proving itself to be one of the most practical sources of protein on Earth? It hasn't stopped people from trying to break that wall down. In the 2000s, chefs and food writers in both countries made repeated attempts to bring rabbit back into fashion, rebranding it on menus as an ethical, sustainable alternative to beef, exactly the pitch its efficiency has always supported. High-end restaurants in London and New York quietly added rabbit dishes, framing it as a delicacy rather than a wartime necessity. Almost none of it stuck at scale. The cultural memory of a childhood cartoon character turned out to be harder to overwrite than any marketing campaign, no matter how good the argument for efficiency really was. And once you see it that way, rabbit stops being a mystery about food efficiency and starts being a case study in how arbitrary our food categories actually are. There's no biological law that makes a cow dinner and a rabbit a companion. There's no nutritional reason chicken belongs on a plate and rabbit belongs on a couch. Those lines were drawn by a handful of cartoons, a frightening disease outbreak, and a set of factories that happened to be built around a different animal, at a moment in history when it could have gone either way. With global food systems under real pressure, land shrinking, water growing scarcer, and demand for protein climbing, some agricultural researchers have started asking whether it's time to redraw that line again, whether the animal that quietly outperforms most of our livestock on efficiency deserves a second look, wartime pamphlet and all. Because for a few years in the 1940s, none of this was strange. Families across two countries raised rabbits in the yard, fed them scraps, and ate them for dinner without a second thought, and it worked. The efficiency was never the problem. What changed wasn't the animal, it was us, and everything we quietly decided to feel about it since.
We're going to be figuring out how to put sunglasses on the sun A cartoonist's dream.
It's the simple questions that we are here to answer.
So let's get into the science. You're probably sitting there thinking, putting sunglasses on the sun, that's never going to work. Why? Because the sun doesn't have ears or a nose. They're going to fall right off.
Wasn't my first thought.
Oh, it wasn't. Well, it was my first thought. So I spent hours trying to figure out, does the sun have anything on it that is kind of like an ear? There's no sound in space, but there is sound inside the sun. The vibrations of the gas moving around, all of that really does create pressure waves that are like low frequency sound waves in the sun. But can it hear itself? No. I just kept coming back to the sun
doesn't
not
have ears.
alive. It doesn't have ears. It doesn't have a nose. And then I arrived at another problem, which I don't know if you thought of this one, but the sun can't really wear sunglasses because it's the sun. It's too hot.
That one was. I would say it was still probably about fourth or fifth on my list of things, but that one didn't get to me.
Okay, all right. Then what was your number one?
Why?
Oh yes. Okay, yeah. Why should we do this? Funny enough, we began thinking that this was just a big old goof. And then as it turns out, there is an answer to the why question. And it's a pretty serious one. I don't want to spill it all right now, but there could be a good reason to do this.
You've done a hook and tease there, Michael, and I'm here for it.
I've done a few hooks and teases, but there's one more. Not only is occluding the sun in some way potentially a good idea, by exploring how to put sunglasses on the sun to make it a really cool dude sun, I think we're also going to discover that E equals MC squared is incomplete. Yeah. As usual, we're going to be absurdly deep today and deeply absurd.
This episode is brought to you by Cancer Research UK.
Our bodies are incredible machines, whirring away, making more and more DNA to build the proteins that keep us alive.
In fact, in the last minute, your body has made over 200 million new cells and enough DNA to stretch to the moon and back.
To the moon and back! That's so much DNA that if you compared it to the size of the cell it fits into, that would be like squeezing the London Underground into a suitcase.
By the age of 50, you have copied almost 6 trillion miles of DNA. But every time that your body copies DNA, it risks making mistakes. And over time, those mistakes can accumulate, and that collection of errors can lead to cancer.
But incredibly, Cancer Research UK scientists can spot these errors. And by finding them, they've helped double UK cancer survival over the last 50 years and are driving even more discoveries that could tackle over 200 types of cancer.
For more information about Cancer Research UK, their research and breakthroughs, and how you can support them, visit cancerresearchuk.org/restiscience.
Okay, first things first. We want to put sunglasses on the sun. We can't get close enough to actually put a physical pair of sunglasses made of any known material actually on the surface of the sun because it's too hot.
And this is not because necessarily of the gravitational pull of it, but this is because the radiation that it's giving off is so gargantuan. Essentially every material that we reliably use on Earth would be obliterated.
The Parker Solar Probe was the instrument that humans have brought closest to the sun, and it only approached about 6 million kilometers away. But it can stay there for a long time. If you get closer, you get burned up in a shorter and shorter amount of time.
Hang on a second, how far away are we from the sun?
We're 150 million kilometers.
150 million. Okay, so this was 6 million kilometers away.
Yeah.
Wow, that is actually really close.
That's really close. So it's about 4 million miles.
Right.
The Parker Solar Probe it got into like the very outer parts of the sun's atmosphere. So in a way, it visited the sun, even though it was still 6 million kilometers away.
That's closer than I was expecting.
And that's not quite on the sun yet, obviously. But you bring up another good point, which is that anything you put on the sun is going to fall right into it because it doesn't have a hard, solid surface like my noggin does. It can hold glasses really easily. So we're not out of luck, though, because we don't necessarily need to put the sunglasses on the sun itself. I'm okay just making it look like the sun is wearing sunglasses.
So almost like I'm holding up a pair of glasses in front of your face.
Exactly.
And from my perspective, it looks like you're wearing them.
Exactly. So this brings us to angular diameter. This is how we're going to crack this nut, okay? So, Hannah, you already know all of this, but for the listeners out there, we have talked about angular diameter before, but it describes how large something is, not in reality, but how large it appears to you, how wide across in your field of view it is. And so when you have an object, it's got a really large angular diameter when it's close to your eyes, but the further away it gets, the smaller it looks, right? From far away, I can crush people's heads. And the way we measure this is by imagining 360 degrees all the way around our bodies. That's this whole field. And then we ask, what angle does the object subtend from one end to the other? And if an object is really big, then, its angle when it's far away will be, something large. But a smaller object would fill that angle if it was close. I don't think my visual here, if you're watching, really helped, but I'm trying to use my hands to show an angle.
Holding up a tape measure.
Yeah, and I'm holding a tape measure between my fingers, but the same object could fit between my palms, and it would be a lot smaller and still take up the same angle of my field of view. So we've got degrees, and then the degrees of something's width can be cut into pieces. And they can be cut into 60ths to give us what are called arc minutes. So something that's an arc minute wide in your field of view is a 60th of a degree of a circle all the way around you. That's pretty small. That's about the smallest width the human eye can differentiate as actually having width and not just being a point. 1 arc minute, a 60th of a degree. In the sky, the sun takes up about 32 arc minutes of a room. All right? So that's about half a degree.
Yeah, I came up with actually a very similar answer, but I did it a very different way.
Oh.
Well, maybe not very different. I don't think it deserves the very, but it does a slightly different way, should we say. Okay, so here's what I was thinking. Imagine your eye is like a single point. You've got one eye open and you're looking at the sun, right? And now imagine that there is a triangle shooting out from your eye, okay?
And please, I want to make sure that everyone's only imagining this.
Yes. Important point. Don't do this at home. Okay. Yes, this is how the ancient Greeks thought that light worked, but for the purposes of this podcast, it's an imagination thing only. Okay. So you've got this triangle that is sort of shooting out of your eye. One side of the triangle meets up with one edge of the sun. The other side of the triangle meets up with the other edge of the sun. So that essentially, if you're kind of looking top down at you viewing the sun, you see this flat triangle where the width of it, at the end of it, it is the exact width of the sun, and then it draws its lines backwards towards your eye to form this triangle. When it comes to the sun itself, we know exactly what that triangle looks like, because we know that the width of the sun is 1.39 million kilometers, and we know that it's 149.6 million kilometers away. So you can work out this triangle to give you that exact angle. Essentially, that tells you the ratio of how far away something needs to be and how wide it is to cover that object. So when you work it out for the sun, it's basically 1/107th. So any object that you have that you hold up in front of the sun, as long as it is at least 1/107th as wide as it is far away, it will cover the sun. So if I make a disc, right, and I hold up and it's at least 1/107th as wide as it is far away, then I can be sure that it will cover the sun.
Yeah. So here's a specific example. I think there's some overlap in our calculations. In order for an object held at arm's length, which I'm assuming is about 70 centimeters, in order for an object to just be exactly the same width as the sun in the sky from Earth, that object would need to be 0.65 centimeters wide. Okay? If you held such an object out in front of you at arm's length, it would block the sun. And that happens to be almost exactly how wide a pencil is.
Right.
Okay? So at arm's length, a pencil will completely block out the disk of the sun, assuming your arms are 70 centimeters long. Don't try this at home, though, because it's only going to just cover the sun, and you will hurt your eyes.
You will.
By trying this. This leads to a really cool fact that we can add on to that classic one about how solar eclipses happen. Because we always know that there's this weird coincidence, which is that the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon. But the moon is 400 times closer to us. So they appear the same size. They take up the same angular diameter in the sky, so the moon can perfectly cover the sun. Where this is going is that if you made a tiny little pair of sunglasses that were only as wide as a pencil, you could hold them out at arm's length and put them over the sun, and the sun would look like it was wearing sunglasses. But also, you would damage your eyes because most of the sun would not be covered. Sunglasses only cover like 15% of the face that they're on. So don't do it that way.
No, unless you don't value your eyesight in that one eye that you're using.
No, please, don't even give them ideas. As it turns out, you need to dim the sun a lot more than just covering like 15 to 30% of it. The ISO standard for safe solar viewing is that you need to decrease the sun's light by 100,000 times. It needs to be 100,000th as bright as it normally is to safely look at.
And when we say safely, what we're talking about here is, I mean, it's literally sunburn on the inside of your eye. Right?
Yeah, your retina gets burned, and it gets burned fast, and usually permanently. I actually found some pictures of people's retinas that were damaged by looking at the most recent solar eclipse. And guess what? We won't show it because it's very gory, but it's basically exactly the same as another picture I saw of a soldier's retina that was damaged because he watched an atomic bomb go off. So don't do it.
Don't do it.
You know what else is almost exactly the same? People who have had laser pointers shined in their eyes.
Oh.
Same kind of retinal damage. This just hot spot where it's just burned and that we'll never see again.
That is one of, I often think about this as one of the great collaborations of humanity. Bear with me for one moment, which is that when early lasers were being developed, people realized that it would be very possible to create a laser that could instantly blind people and that it could be used as a weapon of war. You know, imagine how powerful that would be, that you go onto a battlefield, press a button and blind all of your opponents. And there was, essentially before the technology had even been fully developed, there was an international agreement that we would never do that nobody on this planet Earth wanted to live on an Earth where that was an option. Every now and then we do actually manage to properly collaborate as an entire species.
Yeah, and I'm glad when it happens. But the point is, don't look at the sun. I found a chair of the ophthalmology department at the University of Washington pointed out that if you look at the sun, you're getting 1 million billion photons per second onto your retina. And 10 seconds of looking at the sun is the equivalent of dropping a AA battery right onto your retina from a foot up. Same amount of energy.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to need to come up with a different way to put sunglasses on the sun. What I'm thinking on a small scale is that you get a big sheet of safe solar viewing film, which is essentially opaque. You cannot see anything else through this stuff except the sun, an arc from welding. That's about it. But if you had that, and then you put you drew little tiny sunglasses on it somehow that were completely opaque and were only 0.65 centimeters across, you could then cover the sun with this sheet. You would see the sun as like a kind of a dimmer ball, and you could line up the sunglasses to appear to be on the sun, and we're done. Except...
Hey, the end.
That's the end of the episode, but it shouldn't be, because I don't want to enjoy this alone. I want everyone around me to also go, it looks like the sun is wearing sunglasses. How silly. My day has been improved.
I imagine you want to enjoy it with both of your eyes, even, right?
Oh.
The description that you've just come up with is one eye peering through. Oh, but look at it, both eyes. No, there's no joy there to be had.
Okay, so let's take one little baby step here. How do we make this work for two eyes?
Okay, so, actually, technically, to even get it to work for one eye, we've sort of assumed that your one eye is a single point in space at the moment. But actually, your pupil is about 4 millimeters across, right? So really, if you want it to fully work for the actual shape of your eye, you have to take that 4 millimeters into account. And so instead of being 6.5 millimeters wide, it actually needs to be 10.5 millimeters wide. You need it to be about a centimeter.
So what would it look like if it was only 6.5 millimeters wide? Would it be?
It would just be it'd be a bit janky. It would work for sort of one point of your retina and not the rest of it. But your retina is going to be, amalgamating the image. So it wouldn't really work.
Okay, so that's really good to know. So we need, you're saying 10 millimeters.
But your eyes are on average about 6 centimeters apart. So binocular viewing, you need to account for the fact that there are all of those points across. So you basically need to add on that 6 centimeters to where you started. So in total, for both eyes, you actually need more like 7.05 centimeters.
Whoa, that's big.
It is because you're so, because the distance of your eyes is so big compared to the distance that you're sort of holding away.
Right. So I've got a tape measure here. I'm going to get 7 centimeters. I mean, that's actually not very big. So for those of you watching, there's 7 centimeters. I would need a pair of sunglasses drawn on a piece of solar viewing film that wide, so that when I hold it up, that seems so wide though.
Unfortunately, your eyes are wide.
But the sun isn't this wide if I were to look at it.
No, but think about how much things jump. I mean, you've done the trick where you hold up a thumb, you close one eye, and you hold up a thumb and you line it up with an object in the distance, and then change eyes and see just how much it jumps.
So is this calculation for making it so that when I switch my eyes, the sun is still within this boundary?
Exactly.
Okay, I see. So let me just...
For those of you who are listening only...
I'm looking at other circles around my office that are about 32 arc minutes wide, and I'm covering them with 7 centimeters of material. And I think, but if I focus on the distant sun, then this is it looks like this. I've got this huge thing.
I know. Look, Michael, I'm sorry, but it's not going to be perfect unless you can shrink your eye down to one point. It's
yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying though, because this is actually really cool. I've got this baby head on my wall over there that's about 32 arc minutes wide from where I'm sitting, and
also, before we start, I need to tell you guys a story. Type 1 if you guys want to know how I actually almost fell victim to a scam and got all my hacked. So what happens is that about a week ago, I get an email from Tiffany. Hey Dantes, I came across your content and really enjoyed how you combine humor with engaging storytelling. I'm a talent booker with BorovEUW, and we'd love you to join Rob for a conversation on the podcast. It's a relaxed recording that takes less than an hour, and we think you'd be a great fit. For those that don't know, this is Rob Lowe, and he does have a podcast. So in my head, I'm like, bro, you know what? It's not really gonna bring me anything, right? In terms of viewership or stuff like that. But it would be low-key kind of cool to sit there and do a podcast with a celebrity, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm actually down for it. So I search it up on YouTube because I'm a bit curious, and it was a real podcast. Now, the one thing that's a little bit odd about it, first of all, is that a lot of these people are mainstream celebrities. For me, it's if you're going to get a streamer, why get Dantes? But I was like, you know what? Maybe there's a chance it's real. Why not? I saw this over here. I was like, I see the literally teams. I was like, you know what? This low-key could be decent. So I'm like, sure, I'd love to. So we spend the next week coordinating and all that kind of stuff, right? And then at one point, we get to a point where it's the last email, and they tell us, so I forgot to mention that Mark from our tech department will also be on the call to guide you through the setup and tech check. See you at 7. So what they told me was that before we actually do the podcast, I need one day before to get in call with their tech people to set it up so that we could be all on board. And in my head, I'm like, you know what? Rob Lowe's a boomer. Maybe he does some shit with Facebook that I don't know about. So because of that, they need to do some shit with there. So yeah, I'm fine to do the tech check, make sure my camera's good, because it's still chill. So 7 p.m. yesterday rolls around. I end my stream at 6:30. so I can be on time for this call, by the way. I get in call. Mark has an Indian accent. And right there, listen, I should have been like, okay, there's like something fishy going on. Now, it's not racism or anything like that, obviously, but it's like if your name is Mark, the chances of you being Indian, I feel like is very low. And it's like his profile picture was this like white dude from the outback, and he starts talking and he has an Indian accent. So already, I'm like, okay. Also, guys, don't make it racist, please. It's not about like racism. I'm just saying it so you can understand the story, right? So already, I'm a little bit like, okay, it's kind of weird that the girl that I was talking to isn't going to be a part of a call, and the only person in here is the tech guy that's supposed to set me up, and he's not at all what he's like portrayed as, right? So I'm talking to the guy, and the guy's like, hey, so yeah, the way that this is going to work essentially is that we're going to do the tech check right now, and how it works is that we actually invite you as like an event coordinator on a Meta platform, and all you have to do is join the event, and then you're all set up, right? So I was like, okay, that seems easy. So I go on Instagram. I'm like, all right, where do I go? And he's like, okay, so in your professional dashboard, if you go under like something like upcoming events or something like that, there should be an invite. So I look and there's nothing there. I'm like, bro, are you sure? There's literally nothing there. And he's like, yeah, sometimes you have issues with like Instagram. So here, go on this Facebook account because we already sent an invite to your Facebook account. So the Facebook account that he was referencing was this page. So it's a Facebook that one of my editors manages with 19,000 followers. So at first I was like, I think that it's probably going to be like they're going to invite me to an event, and because of that I'm going to get some kind of like outreach on like Insta or Facebook. So I want to join it with the Instagram that's connected to or the Facebook that's connected to my Instagram. So I checked there and he's like, yeah, it doesn't show there, but we already sent an invite to your 19,000 follower one. So what we want you to do is just go on that one and then it should be good. So I open it up, I go to my professional dashboard, and then at some point he says something, and that's for me when I was like, this is a scam. Because you have to understand that this was like 30-minute long call up to now. And it's like he was sitting there like, go here, go there, go here, go there. And I'm at a point where I'm like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And everything he's telling me is wrong. And things are starting to feel very, very, very wrong. So at one point he tells me to go on like page connections. So I click on page connections and it shows all the administrators of the Facebook account. The second I see that, I'm like, this is a scam. You know what I mean? Like instantly, I knew. I was like, there's something that's way too fucking fishy. There is no way that I would need to go on page connections. Like, it should have been easier than this. So then I tell the guy, I'm like, all right, be honest with me, bro. Is this a scam? He's like, no, of course not. Of course it's not a scam. Okay, sure. So I was like, all right, bring the girl that I was talking to on the call right now then, because we were on Zoom. I was like, bring her on call right now then so I can fucking talk to her. And then he's like, well, she's part of our emails department, so because of that, she's already off work. And I was like, you fucking moron. Like, it just goes to show that they know literally nothing. There is no such thing as an emails department for a podcast. There isn't. The most you're gonna have is one person that manages that shit, but there is no fucking emails department. Motherfucker, who's Rob Lowe emails department? So I heard that, I was like, emails department, really, bro? Get her on call right now or I'm fucking leaving. And he's like, well, I can assure you everything is legitimate. If you would like to wait, then it would have to be tomorrow that we get in call with her on the call. Yeah, and then what's gonna happen, bro? You're gonna either call your sister to come over and then she's gonna start speaking to me, or like Tiffany, so then it's gonna be another person. I was like, no, bro. So I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be honest, like, it's enough, fuck off. So I leave the call, right? I leave the call because I knew at that point, I was like, this shit is just a fucking complete scam. Emails department, are you fucking serious, right? So then I go on Google and I search up Rob Lowe podcast scam Reddit. What is the first thing I see? I got an email asking me to go on the Literally with Rob Lowe podcast. Turns out it was a scam email. Well, the podcast was out beyond today. Scam email. And then I was like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? Now, in all honesty, I thought that it wasn't, because things seemed legitimate, right? So now I'm going to give you guys a bit of advice, okay? So the reason why I didn't think it was a scam was because the URL is, and then after that, you know, there's like the profile picture. At the end of every email, there's the manager and guest relations with this and the content. I was like, this looks legitimate. Like, be honest with me, guys. You're in my thing. If you see this email, would you think it's legitimate? You're a content creator, all this kind of stuff. Like, be honest. This is very ChatGPT. Oh. Well, anyways. So I thought this was legitimate. But the thing about it is that a lot of these times, the way that you can actually find real emails is because people never email with a gmail.com URL. It's always that they have their own dedicated email. So instead of being at
Bro
gmail.com,
was educating Kadeem the other day on not getting taken advantage by people, and here he is almost getting scammed by John Pork Meal.
yeah, no, but dude, like, let's be honest. So, bro, if you're a content creator and you get that message, like, I just thought it was legit. I never saw one that looked that professional. You know what I mean? Like, most of the time, it's literally like the scam emails that you get are like URLs, like fucking, it'll be some shit like 50,000 letters and numbers at Romania.com, and then the body of the text is going to be, hi, we want to give you $10,000. Can you send us your information? You know, it's like, all right, dude, whatever. You know, like, but this, it was really like something where I was like, bro, are we serious? But no, so that's why, dude, it was fucked. Like, last night, I ended the call, and I was fucking pissed. Like, I went up to Laura, I was like, baby, it was a scam. And then she's like, yeah, I know you're joking. Because, like, I was actually, like, kind of hyped about it, you know? Like, she was telling her dad about it. I told my mom, my aunt. Because, like, I know that a lot of you guys would be like, whatever. But, like, older people, they actually know that, guys. So that's why, for me, it was cool. And then I was like, no, it was a scam. And then she's like, come on, I know when you're lying. And I was like, baby, I swear it was a scam. Then she's like, no, Dantes, like, seriously, you know? And then I look at her dead in the eye, and I was like, on your life, it was a scam. And then she was like, oh, wait. What the fuck, you know? So that's why I was like, it was like, Jesus, bro. Like, that's why now, dude, if I thought I was careful before, I am 1 million times more careful now. The only thing that I was just very happy about, though, is that the Zoom link that he sent was like a legitimate Zoom link. If that was like a fake Zoom link, and then like I got my shit like, oh my god. That was the one thing that I was worried about. Or was it? No. I asked Grok. I literally sent Grok the link. I'm like, Grok, is this a legitimate link? And then Grok had my back. He was like, yep. Mickey Mouse wants you on his podcast. We need your SSN to join.
I can think of about 4 things that I really wish you would take back right now. But
Like
we're
what?
gonna do it. The cookies in the oven?
Well, that's a joke.
But it's not, Nick. My wife is Jewish. My son is Jewish. No,
come
no, no,
on.
Nick, Nick,
No,
Nick, Nick, Nick,
there we
Nick,
go.
Nick. I promise you.
Look at
Don't get
Andrew.
mad.
I'm not
okay?
mad,
Okay,
it's
I know, but okay. But you gotta understand how incredibly, whether it's a joke or not, it's a lived experience passed down from
You watched this? No, I
generation to
didn't.
generation. Whether or not, and by the way, not just from the Holocaust, not just from 1939 on, 2,000 years of history. Okay, forget about Israeli politics and Netanyahu, because I think we agree about Bibi Netanyahu. I'm positive we do, and I've listened to you talk about it. But you got to understand. Look at me, man.
I see.
It hurts. It hurts.
Does it?
Nick, I promise you it does. When you compare my wife's family to cookies going to an oven, it hurts, and you got to understand that. And by the way, I'm looking at you,
I don't
and I
think that
believe
was-
that you do know that.
That's not the point of the metaphor. It was about the fucking the entire. That was not the point of the metaphor that Nick was even making.
That's
But
where you
Nick-
lose me. That's where you lose me.
Okay, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, are we here to talk or are you here to lecture me and
Okay,
preach
no,
to
you're
me?
right. Let me listen.
Okay.
You're right.
So
You're right.
this is the
Okay.
thing, because, you know, and I think this is a disconnect. I think that the left, and even people on the right, they're losing the young people. Why do people love
What was
me?
he talking about cookies for? It was a metaphor that he used for explaining why he thought that 6 million Jews didn't die in the Holocaust. And he said basically as a metaphor, you couldn't put that many cookies in an oven. Like, that's basically what it was. I'm abbreviating this. I don't necessarily agree. It's not necessarily. I don't agree with this. I think that in my opinion, I don't think that the amount of people that were killed in the Holocaust is like a big thing to me. Like, I'm not like trying to say that it was low, but I'm saying that like it would be bad no matter what. But a lot of people try to downplay it, and I think that the reason why is because they want to. The implication is that fewer people died in the Holocaust, and I'm trying to think of a good way to say this because it can get clipped out of context really easily, right? Is that basically what a lot of people think is that the number in the Holocaust was really high, and they use this as like a moral justification that you can't criticize Jewish people. That's basically what it is. I think that's stupid, but that's the way a lot of people see this. And that's what Nick was saying. It's not about them being cookies. It's about the metaphor of how many cookies can you bake. That's what it was about.
Not in spite of, but because of the outrageous things that I say. Not in spite of, but because I say offensive things. Because I, let's say, drop the N-word on a video or something. It's because people are sick of the preachiness, the
Nick.
lecturing.
Okay, I'll listen
They
to what
really
you
are.
say. But Nick, I disagree. I think that you're appealing.
Danke an die Polizei, dass wir noch 5 Minuten machen dürfen. Ja, danach, mein Name ist da, ich verkaufe irgendwo einen USB-Stick mit meinem Album drauf, halbe Stunde lang. I'm selling USB-Stick with my 40-minute album. Check it out, $10, it's there. Take a card, I think there are 2 cards left or something. And where were we actually? I deleted everything, but... Something like this it was.
coming to the lowest common denominator of thought. If you're hating on the people that they think are the reason for their suffering, then you must be on their side. I don't think that you believe that about the Holocaust. I think you think the Holocaust did happen. But forget about whether or not you think that it is used politically in a way that is obtuse and wrong. But I think that you do believe that. And I think that you have to. Like, what's your cultural heritage?
I'm Italian, Mexican, and Irish.
Mexican. When did they come in Italian? When did the Mexicans come? When did the Irish come?
Mexicans came.
That's why Hunter's out of touch. I think that really, I mean, I think it's very fair to criticize people, like especially Israel, for using the Holocaust as a moral trump card over accountability for things they do in Lebanon or Palestine, or as a trump card against the First Amendment in the United States of America. I don't think that just because you suffered a horrible thing happening to you in history means that you have the moral authority to tell everybody else what they can and can't say forever. I don't think that's fair. A lot of, by the way, the Holocaust is not the only bad thing that's happened in history. There's like dozens of really bad things like that have happened in history.
Turn of the last century. Yeah. Italians came in the 1860s. Yeah. Irish came in the early 1900s.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe you wouldn't care about something that is like grossly offensive just on the face of it and think that, oh, why can't people just believe that that's funny? But you got to understand, it's from the perspective of somebody that has that trauma, and I think that there is such a thing as generational trauma, and those stories are passed down generation to generation. When you say something like that, they completely shut off. They can't hear another thing that you're saying about this cultural disconnect, about losing communities, about the feeling of being left out or left.
In my opinion, I hate to say this, but I actually understand what Hunter's saying. And I think that the fixation around how many people died in the Holocaust is a distraction. I think that ultimately it doesn't really matter, and there's a lot bigger fish to fry that are mutual enemies, and there's no reason to draw a divide with that immediately. Like, I understand that people can have their opinions, but I think that every opinion and every value that people have has to work towards a goal. And to the extent that your opinions and values are not being used to achieve a goal, then they don't really have a lot of value. Sometimes they have a net negative value. Even if you think they're true, it doesn't mean you have to use it's like, you can have a bunch of tools in your, in your workshop, but if you're using the saw to hammer down a nail, you're going to be a fucking idiot, right? You don't want to use that. Bigger cookies to fry? Well, that's not what I'm trying to say, okay?
Behind in a world in which there no longer is this sense of community. All the other things that you say. Yeah. Everybody else is left. And what you do pick up, you pick up the ones that hear the dog whistle. You pick up the ones that say, yeah, that's the way that I feel. Because it's radical. It's like he's willing to say the thing that nobody else will say in this environment. And then you get, an enormous amount of niche, but love from that. And I just don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you think that it was appropriate for you to say something like that. I don't think you believe that it's appropriate to say women shouldn't vote.
Let's give Nick a second to respond to the first thing.
I know, I talk constantly. That's how I do this.
It's all good.
I apologize.
I get it, and I understand that perspective, and it is offensive, and it is provocative, and that's sort of what makes it funny. I mean, what we would say in our generation is edgelording. We're being edgy.
I don't think anybody cares about making Holocaust jokes or making 9/11 jokes. The problem is that whenever
Hey guys, that thing they say never happens sounds like it just happened again.
The mystery of what happened to 38-year-old British woman Elizabeth Jane Ross has now been revealed.
Okay, so it's a white woman in Britain, so I'm going to assume she's been raped. by a black man.
Fate replicates a phenomenon we've seen time and time again. Elizabeth disappeared after telling her family she was visiting American friends in Greece. Authorities now believe this was a false story so as not to cause concern, and that Ross had actually gone to stay in an apartment in Athens, which was a base for NGO volunteers. She dedicated much of her adult life to doing NGO work to help Middle Eastern refugees and migrants.
Isn't it crazy how all these women who dedicate their life to helping migrants then get raped by migrants and beaten by migrants? It's insane. And that's what I mean by the suicidal epidemic on liberal women is honestly disgusting and horrifying to see. You can't be nice to these creatures. They don't care about you. They don't care about earning anything in life. They just want to take. And if you give them an inch, they will absolutely take everything.
Migrants, often traveling alone. And witnesses saw her talking to homeless migrants on the street shortly before her disappearance. The alarm was raised when Elizabeth went missing.
Jesus.
But then family members became perplexed at strange text messages Ross then apparently began sending from her phone.
Has revealed he received haunting text messages from his daughter's phone, which read, "I need some quiet time. I want to be alone."
Her loved one said the messages were out of character and didn't match her typical conversation style. And that's because the messages, despite being sent from her phone,
were not sent from her. Oh my God, this is fucking horrible, bro. Because, you know, like, I understand these women want to try and be the best person they can possibly be, kind, warm, and welcoming to everybody. And that sounds very beautiful, but you have to understand corruption exists, evil people exist, a lot of cultures are inferior. And, you know, in the pursuit of attempting to be kind, they were manipulated. They were brainwashed by the internet, and they will probably get raped or die because of that same suicidal empathy. And it's sad, guys. It's sad. You must have your guard up. You must have your head on a swivel. And you have to realize which people are more likely predispositioned to wanting to kill you. Doesn't make you a bad person.
Or people are doing something and they're saying something very clearly with a serious intent, but it's actually a joke. It's kind of like what people were saying about how, you know, Hassan is framing the 9/12 newspaper. And it's not about that being bad in itself. It's about the other, you know, fucking cornucopia of things that go into the ideology of, wait, maybe he supports this.
Being provocative. And I think that it is that kind of overbearing sense for our entire...
Nick, I'm the king of edgelord.
Well, in a certain way.
Let's let Nick explain.
Yeah, I know. I apologize.
You know, it's that overbearingness that my generation's had our entire lives. That's not appropriate. That's not...
Nick is right about this, too. He's completely right. That a lot of people that are especially his age, not even my age, but his age, are tired of being nickel and dimed and then fucking henpecked by a million Karens telling them what they are allowed and they're not allowed to say. I think that, you know, guys in general are exhausted by this. They don't want to be told that their funny joke that they're telling with their friends on Xbox Live between them and everybody's laughing, they don't want to be told that they're not allowed to say that. And I think this is what happened a lot from like 2014 to like 2023. And to an extent, it still goes on, but it's been minimized.
Funny. Think of the trauma. That's racist. That's white supremacist.
Yeah.
That makes it funny. That makes it different, interesting. And let me grant, by the way, I think that now, and this is maybe a concession towards you, now that my kind of humor has become mainstream and popular, I don't even think that that's funny anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
People do the edgelording thing. It's become so commonplace and so tired. I don't think it's that funny or impressive. That's a big...
safe edgy. Yeah, like saying negative things about Israel and Jews is now safe edgy. It's not funny. It's not... The reason why edgy things like that are funny is because they're risky. It's no longer risky.
Part of why I kind of moved past it, because 10 years ago, it was treated like sacrilegious. And there's something funny about the fact that you could say a word or make a joke and make people lose their minds and freak out. Yeah. And it was like an international incident if you said the wrong thing. And I think that's what made it tempting, especially for a young person. You want to rebel. You want to be defiant. You want to be a little revolutionary or something. True. Now, as time has gone on, I think that's become a fad. Everybody does it. It's lost its power. And I think that By the way, part of why we're getting less of it is because instead of getting the preachy lecture from the left saying that's not appropriate,
You're
people
getting performative bullshit from right-wing people.
just roll their eyes. Now when an edgy white person says the N-word, people roll their eyes and go, really? You know, that joke again? People hear someone wears a Nazi costume, makes a Holocaust joke. People go, really? That joke again? It's not impressive. It's not funny anymore. We've seen it before. And ironically, that is what makes you get less of it, when you disempower those things by not giving them this over-the-top reaction, pretending like it's some great travesty.
I think he's totally right about that too, by the way. I think that the way that you approach, you know, things like that are problematic is that you just simply let people say what they're going to say. If they want to be an asshole, they're going to be an asshole. But the more that you try to demonize it and freak out against it, you're going to immediately have people that are getting super angry and like really mad over it because, you know, now they're being told what they're allowed to say and what they're not allowed to say. I think that's a huge problem. I think that in general, like, people don't like being told what to do and what they're allowed to say, period. It doesn't matter what it is, but the moment they especially, and the group that is the most like this are young men. And I think that's really, that's where this movement is coming from. It's young men. It's over-dramatized, yeah, exactly.
How do you think, like, October 7th and the subsequent, like, pro-Palestine movement and the online worlds it created led to a growing audience on the right?
October 7th in particular? Yeah. Well, I think it highlighted and brought to the forefront how captured the right wing is by Israel, which is very unique. I think the Democrats and the Republicans are pro-Israel, but the Republican Party has this inextricable institutional connection with the Israel lobby, with this Likud government in particular. And I think people just started to see the hypocrisies. The hypocrisy was brought to the forefront, which is America first, but not with Israel. No new wars except for with Iran. You know, we're going to be racist and all these things, but
you can't be anti-Semitic.
You dare be anti-Semitic. Don't even, you know, think about it.
Exactly.
So I think that on the right wing, it made it unignorable that there's this ideological institutional capture.
I just feel like a lot of straightforward, like, just anti-Semite influencers were taking advantage of the post-October 7th discourse to push other ideas, broader ideas about Jewish people as a whole.
Well, I mean, I think
that's true. I think Andrew's totally right about that. Is that there's tons of people that actually just hate Jews, and they've always hated Jews, and this is their moment to shine, and they're pretending to be pro-Palestine.
It's hard to ignore some of those other conversations. I know that it's now become maybe in vogue to say that the Israel issue is very narrow. It's just Netanyahu. It's just the Likudniks. It's just the Israel lobby. But, you know, what would you say about someone like Larry Ellison? I mean, somebody like that, I don't think fits neatly into this, let's say, problem of Netanyahu.
As far as installing Barry Weiss and whatnot.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because this is somebody who's not Israeli. He's not even a religious Jew, but he's ethnically Jewish and has this deep affinity for the state of Israel and is using and mobilizing his power and resources and connections to benefit Israel in the private sector.
This is a huge problem, and the only thing that I disagree with Nick on with this is that I think it's not exclusive to Israel. I think that you can see the same type of nepotism and then racial bias that exists with Indians as well. Obviously not all of them, but, you know, the amount of accusations of nepotism and ethnic replacement that Indians try to hire other Indians at tech companies, etc., this is overwhelming. Like, you wouldn't have this many reports of this happening if there was not clearly a trend. And Somalians is the same thing. So what the real issue is that, you know, it's fundamentally, this is not, Jewish people do not have a monopoly over tribalism. The reason why their tribalism is, I think, a lot more evident is because it's so high, it's so high influence, right? But I think that this has happened with a lot of other groups of people. And I think that really, I mean, you can look at statistics with this as well, right? Is that other racial groups and ethnic groups have like a very, very high level of, you know, like ethnic preference, right? And own group preference for ethnic issues and degrees. And whereas I would say that in America, generally that's not true. At least not with white people as much. And this is referenced by studies. It's not, this isn't something I'm inventing.
And so if you were to say, what's a law that we could pass to prevent that kind of influence, what would it look like? He's an American citizen. He can't buy a media company and hire Barry Weiss to run CBS News. And yet we recognize that's a big problem.
I just feel the conflation of like anti-Zionism and like Holocaust denial played into the hands of the Israeli propaganda apparatus. Because then they can say, hey, look, these people that oppose what we're doing in Palestine also don't think the Holocaust happened. For instance,
he's right. Andrew's right.
Big jump in the public perception.
It was almost to me as if that
it's a poison pill.
Was your intent to lose any legitimacy about any argument as it relates to Israel and the Likud government, is to say those edgelording things or whatever. I don't know anybody that can hear you after you say that, including myself. It delegitimizes everything, because I don't think that you a little bit of more compassion.
Let's try to stay a little. I don't want to do any character attacks on Nick.
I'm not attacking his character. I'm not attacking. I promise you, I'm
no,
not.
but as far as compassion, I'm more just mean straightforward. Do you feel like the rise in anti-Semitic online influencers post October 7th has given Israel more ammunition to work with in terms of casting everyone who opposes what they're doing as just?
I think the answer is absolutely yes, but I think they would have done it anyway. That's my answer.
It's like a rabid Jew hater.
In some cases, in some cases, sure. But I also think that's overstated, because I think that, look, let's just be honest. I do believe the political left wants to make the Israel issue very narrow. And they want to say that the issue is this genocide in Palestine. And on some level, they think that the Israeli government is racist. And that's the problem. And
I'm not sure if I agree with Nick on this, especially whenever there's so much open hostility to people like Scott Wiener and that other Josh Shapiro. I actually think that with them, it's a very, very wide issue that does apply to all Jewish people. And I think that tangentially, it also is really evident that that's the case when you look at their support for terrorist groups that seek the extinction of Jewish people. Like, I mean, you don't have the right-wing people that are supporting a organization, or at least failing to condemn an organization like Hamas that seeks the ethnic extinction of Jewish people. I think that the left-wing people have a much wider net than Israeli. They're the ones that use Israeli as a pejorative. They're the ones that attack people for being from Israel. I think that, and not just being in the military, not just being in there, but just categorically.
I think that ignores that there is a broader conversation, and it does have to do with the Holocaust, and it does have to do with Jews as such, and Jewish nationalism and Jewish identity. So to try to shoehorn it in and say, well, if anybody goes further than this very narrow critique of Israel, well, they're actually helping Israel, I don't agree with that. I think we have to unpack the whole conversation.
Well, do you care a lot about Palestinians?
Not more than I care about anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, I think a lot of people can easily say that, for example, the Palestinians that get bombed or whatever is horrible. What they're doing is that I think they're doing something that's very similar to what Americans did to a lot of Arabs post 9/11, is that they wanted people that were Arabs to actively condemn 9/11, and like you almost had to explain why it was bad, right? You couldn't just be an American anymore. You had to do this extra level of performance. And I think that that's what's being assigned to every Jewish person now. And I don't think that's right. I don't think a Jewish person has any sort of obligation to make a statement or have an opinion on Israel, because they're Jewish ethnically in the same way that I'm German ethnically or Irish ethnically. I don't have an obligation to have an opinion on, the IRA or about the Nazis, right? For, a historical reason. Was that too much to ask? Yeah, you have to prove basically they're asking, and the difference between what I'm saying here and the pro-Palestine people is that the pro-Palestine people, this is a value, and the value is different than an ethnicity. You choose to have an opinion, you don't choose to have an ethnicity. That's the huge difference between, for example, why it's problematic that pro-Palestine people will not condemn Hamas, and it's also problematic that you expect, Israeli people or Jewish people to condemn Israel. Does that make sense?
People don't want to live around that. People don't want to live around that. In Chicago, it rolled on into the summer, and it wasn't, let's say, the anger of the oppressed and the disenfranchised.
So who's
they
at
were
fault?
looting. They were looting and
Who's
carjacking.
they?
The criminals.
Yeah. Who are?
Mostly black.
Oh boy, here we go.
Nick.
Nick.
You know, I
Is that not true?
Yeah, maybe, Nick.
Come on, man. Holy shit.
I don't know. I just don't. I don't know why you use the platform that you have to make that your target. Are you saying that the problem with the 26-year-old white kid living in suburbia outside of Chicago and his feeling of being disenfranchised is because there was looting and rioting in Minneapolis by black people? And it's black.
I think it made it worse. Yeah, I definitely think it made it worse. I think if it's your car that gets jacked, I think if it's your car that gets looted, if it's your house that gets broken into, yeah, I would say you're absolutely being affected by this. Like, I don't even know why you would say that.
Black people that are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Austin Metcalf was that he got stabbed in the neck at a track meet. And the problem with our city in Chicago is that the Magnificent Mile is gone. Water Tower Place is gone because of all the crime.
Nick, and the type of an entire generation of African Americans is that they've been getting killed by cops for
what? For what?
Decades.
That's
what are
just
you
not
talking
true.
about, Nick?
Because they commit crime. And listen.
He just says it. He just says it. Dude, like, isn't it, like, this is the thing to me that, like, I don't know how a lot of liberals can reconcile this, like Hunter Biden. How is it that in the same way that God stopped performing miracles whenever they invented the camera, we stopped having all of these racist murders by police officers whenever they introduced body cams? Have you guys noticed this? We stopped having all of these racist murders by police officers whenever they introduced body cams. Have you guys noticed this? Isn't that a weird coincidence? Wrong, he didn't. Yeah, dumbass like you can still type in my chat. That's a fucking miracle.
Listen,
Shut up.
It's not...
Nick,
what?
That's not true. It's not true. Are you saying that police brutality as it relates and racism in the police force, in the way in which police treat African Americans? Nick, you could grow up here.
I think the reality is that the police are going to go towards something based off of what their prior inclination is. So, like, the police are probably going to use a lighter touch on a woman than they are on a man. And if crime statistics reflect reality, then if they see a person that is of a certain ethnicity, they're like, the way that they're going to approach an Asian woman is going to be a lighter touch than they approach a black man. And we all know this. Every single person knows this.
Like I did, between Wilmington and Philadelphia. And if you were a black dentist and you lived in Wilmington and you commuted to Philadelphia, the chances of you being pulled over by a state trooper, either Delaware or in Pennsylvania, are about 50 times that would be if it was a white guy.
And the problem that Hunter has is that he's also right, but his rightness is, I think, outdated. I think that it's very obvious that we had systemic and systematic racism, and it was cooked directly into our government and everything involved about it. All of these things were totally real and absolutely valid, but it's outdated now. It's outdated, and we have to look at the reality.
50 times. And so what you're trying to tell me is that the problem in America right now is that a 26-year-old white kid who lives in suburban Chicago doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled or he's been woke, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black.
Yeah, that's not the problem. Like, what? I don't even... How do you even respond to this?
People.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
said the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago. The carjack.
Yeah, the problem is crime, and the issue is that this is the problem that liberals have. is that they have this idea that every race is committing crime on an equal level. This is not true. Everybody knows this isn't true. We all know that if you're expecting somebody that did a robbery, you're not expecting it from an Asian woman ever. Has it happened before? Yeah, it's happened. But what are the odds? The reality is that there are demographics that commit crime way more than others. And I think one of the biggest extremes is men and women. Like, we take race out of the equation, it's men and women, and it's also people at a certain age. Whenever you hear of a shooting, you're not going to expect it was somebody that was 85 years old that did it, or 5 years old that did it. These are just realities that we live with. And liberals' constant inability to recognize this and acknowledge it is what I think is getting more black people and more minorities killed, because they're unwilling to acknowledge that some communities have bigger problems with crime, and the reason why is because those communities are committing more crime. They will not reconcile that because it undoes their worldview that everybody is totally culturally and, completely equal. It destroys their narrative. But they have to acquiesce on this for the good, for the best interest of the minorities they're trying to protect. Do you know who the biggest victims of black murder are? Black people. That's the main group of victims. So if you want to keep these people safe, if you want them to be able to have their communities improve, and it's the same with Mexicans, it's the same with anybody else, if you want to have their communities improve, I don't look at these people and say, wow, what a bunch of criminals. I look at these people and I say, wow, these people are being terrorized by criminals. And if you got the criminals out of these communities, you'd see things improve massively. It's the perspective that's wrong. Black people voting Democrat always changes nothing. Yeah, but if you look at the way that the media is set up and everything, it's not that surprising, is it? I also think the hip hop thing is hypnotized black community. I think that they have a lot of cultural issues. I'm not black. I don't really comment a lot on, other groups' cultural issues, but it does seem like very clearly they have cultural problematic issues. I'm just not an expert on this, right? Obviously. You could see that.
Shootings, teen takeovers. We know why there's no...
That's a good example, right? I mean, you look at a teen takeover, 99% of them are black. This is substantial. It's substantial. It's a problem, and it needs to be acknowledged as what it is. Why is that happening? It's clearly not random. 14% of the population, 99%, at least for what I've seen, of teen takeovers. Clearly something needs to happen. New elephants in a room video about exactly this topic? Yeah, exactly. And so that's the issue. The issue is conflating, saying that there's over-policing and there's police problems. The reason why there's more police problems is that there's more police that are having to arrest these people because they're committing more crime. That's the reason why.
No business on the Mag Mile anymore, and it's because they steal cars, they drive them through windows. And listen, black people are some of the biggest victims of the black crime.
Yes.
We're not allowed to talk about it because of
fucking exactly.
the racial
What do you mean
dimension.
you're not allowed to talk about it? We're talking about it right here. You have a platform.
Yeah, but nobody, dude, what do you mean you're not allowed to talk about it? Hunter Biden is not running for president yet. Nick Fuentes isn't running for president yet, right? You're talking about it in a hotel room. Isn't this, that's the whole point.
In which millions of people listen to you, Nick. Millions.
Well, after Elon had to buy Twitter and open it up, it wasn't
exactly
like that before. I was banned from everything.
I think Hunter's totally wrong on this. I think he had some great points on the Holocaust stuff. I think he's totally off base.
For many years. So no, you weren't allowed it. You're right. We can talk about it now, but that's only because the good guys
Nick,
won.
You went from being banned on Twitter to being on YouTube to creating an entire show. I know you're not, but now you have Kick and now you have all of these other things. You have an enormous platform. I want to find common ground of how much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there. We can get there. Okay? What I don't understand is how you didn't recognize that in 2016 and how you didn't.
I think that a lot of people realize that Donald Trump was a piece of shit. I think that if you voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and you thought that he was anything other than a hedonistic piece of shit asshole, you had to be retarded. But it's just the lesser of two evils. You didn't want Hillary Clinton to run the country, and you didn't want to have infinite illegal aliens coming over, and that's it. I mean, you just didn't like Hillary Clinton. Whenever you make a decision, It's not like you have to, like, there's a lot of things that, like, I have friends of mine that had family members that were negatively affected because Donald Trump didn't pay them for construction stuff. So, like, I have, like, you know, like, by second degree extension, like, experience in hearing about this, right? And it negatively affected them. So, and he is an asshole. I think he absolutely is. And I would say that really Trump is like the bull in the china shop that I think we needed in order to usher in a more, I would say, manicured person, somebody like hopefully maybe Marco Rubio. That's how I see it, is that he was a necessary evil.
Recognize that in 2020, and how you didn't recognize that in 2024 because Donald Trump
I did in 24.
Because Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's because Kamala sucked more. Like, I don't know why this is so hard to understand.
Hasn't changed. Donald Trump hasn't changed at all.
Never.
Donald Trump has been Donald Trump since he
50
came out of
years.
the womb of a woman that was an immigrant to this country. And so,
a legal immigrant to the country that came over and was a net positive taxpayer with her husband, and they created hundreds of jobs. Like this bullshit that you know, Hunter Biden is doing. He's the new Biden, right? Or we could just call him Biden now. You know, fucking that he's doing with constantly muddying the good reputation of hardworking, good American immigrants by trying to, you know, dilute their good values with a bunch of illegal aliens that are coming over and committing crime and working under the table, I think is so damaging to average American immigrants. It's almost like it's defaming them. You're dragging their reputation through the mud so you can protect a bunch of criminal illegals.
what I want to know, though, is that
so dishonest.
I don't know how we get past this idea that the biggest problem that you have that with your personal situation and how you extrapolate that to the situation of other white kids that are your age.
I think he's reframing. He's reframing by using hyperbolic terms like the biggest and the main problem is black people. Like that's never been what's discussed. There's like 50 different problems.
That feel disenfranchised, that feel left out, that feel they don't have a shot at the American dream is because of black and brown people, because of Mexicans, because of Venezuelans, because of Haitians, because of... It's always other, Nick, with you. It seems to me.
Well, yeah, when you have a job and then the job gets taken by a Haitian that's on a fucking asylum visa here and they're working 16 hours a day with one break because that's all they've known in Haiti, and you're being replaced by somebody like that, you can say, oh, they're working harder than you. Yeah, they are, but we have labor laws to prevent people being exploited. Like, that's the issue, right? Is like we have laws, like they shouldn't have to work that hard. Nobody should have to work that hard. We should have technology work that hard. That's why we have machines that pick cotton now. We have machines that can pick strawberries. Small story, my great-grandfather hated the reputation the Italian Americans had when he immigrated, much to the point that he refused to teach my grandfather Italian for the fear that he might get the same reputation. So far from what we have now. It's very common for second and third generation Mexican immigrants to refuse to teach their kids Spanish. I wouldn't say it's the norm. I don't think it's the norm, but it's very common.
And I've listened to a lot of the stuff. It's always them. We need to build a wall. Where's the wall, Nick? He never built the wall. Why'd you vote for him?
Well, he built part of the wall, right? And he created... Like, this is the type of stuff, like, I don't know, why would you say this, man? Like, he obviously decreased the amount of border crossings by 99%. The point of the wall wasn't the wall. The point of the wall was to keep illegals from coming into the country. I've always thought the wall is a great metaphor, right? It's a great visualization. But you can climb over a fucking wall. It's about stopping them from coming over. Like, this is, this is such bullshit. Like, you could create a wall with drone surveillance, and by like a group, it creates the same thing.
2020. Why'd you vote for him in 2024?
I didn't vote for him in 2024.
Okay. My point being is that whenever you identify your problem as being something that is other, that you can point to, that's a minority, that is a group of people, that's the Jews.
Are you saying that there are never problems that are other people? Sometimes there are people that are causing problems. Like, I mean, I don't know what do you mean?
It's the I mean, before, remember, all of us, you know, it was the Irish Catholics who were all committing the crime, who weren't allowed into bars, who weren't allowed into, because you know why? Because they were dirty, poor, non-Europeans. They were Irish. Yeah. Every time it's wrong. Every time history has proven that to be wrong in the United States of America. Every time. Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength. And I hear you talk about this idea of white culture. What fucking white culture are you talking about, man? What literally?
What is white culture? This is the type of thing that, like, if you have somebody who is intellectually honest, like Nick, this is the easiest question in the world to answer. This is the easiest thing to... Everybody knows this.
Shakespeare, Dante, Mozart. We're in Philadelphia, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
That's your white culture.
How about the Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay, well, it was written by a black man in France in the 1700s.
In a milieu of European civilization.
So what?
Because you're picking out one example. It really...
There are examples, and there's a lot of inputs. Like, for example, it's really cool that we were able to play Black Myth Wukong, and that's from Chinese culture. I think that's awesome. There's a lot of examples of that. But that doesn't mean that overwhelmingly this is not European culture.
Just picking up one example.
It really is.
Nick.
Listen.
Nick, I'm not. I really am not.
Hey, guys, I think we're reaching what's called a rock in a hard place. Let's talk about it.
Well, let me respond to this, because you're telling me I'm always blaming the other.
No, Nick, for real. Here's the thing.
For real.
Is that the way that you talk and throw out these historical facts, which, by the way, aren't fucking facts. Okay?
Which ones aren't facts?
Well, as it relates to the Civil Rights Movement in 1968, and the reason why we're out in the problem that we're in is because the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed and shot by a white racist, white supremacist in 1968.
Is this something that, like, anybody is supposed to be like, yeah, everybody likes Martin Luther King, basically? There's a street named after Martin Luther King everywhere. There's probably more streets named after Martin Luther King than George Washington. What are we doing? The FBI. And also, do you know who, by the way, if you want to start talking about this, why don't you give Trump a little bit of credit, because he declassified a lot of the shit about MLK.
Balcony of a motel.
Are we going to hear that from Hunter Biden? Probably fucking not.
That's the root of our trouble, because an entire people that have been disenfranchised and enslaved for over 400 years.
We're sick of hearing about that, though. It's 2026.
You may be sick of hearing about it, but you know what? They aren't. And I'll tell you what.
Yeah, and that's their problem. The reality is that Africa has people that are enslaved now. They were enslaved by their own people and sold to Europeans and other people all around the world. Slavery was a universal tradition that Europeans ended, and every single person now that's living in America is better off because of it. This entire idea that there's any kind of guilt for this should be the opposite. We weren't the people that had slavery. We were the people that overcame it. I wonder if Biden will tell us what kind of individual shot Malcolm X? Of course not. I'm black, and I'm sick of hearing about it as well. It personally affected me. I'm done. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just such bullshit.
Get over it. Get over it. It's America.
Get over it. Like, I mean, exactly. Did you know how many injustices there were? All of the redlining and things like that for, like, residential areas. Do you know that was applied to Italians and Mexicans, too? Like, a lot of these types of racism, even Hunter was saying this himself, that, like, this was also applied to Italians. It was applied to Mexicans. It was applied to the Irish. So why is it that, you know, and again, I understand that it's more recent, but at the same time, when are we going to be able to move past this? We've had a black president at this point. We have, in my opinion, I think that we reached total racial parity. And we did that probably in like 15, 20 years ago, if not earlier than that. We still have to hear about how, you know, they're shooting black people left and right. It's ridiculous. And I think the reason why, this is what I think the reason why is that there are a bunch of black identitarian voices out there, people like Al Sharpton, that it is in their best, if racism ever ended, these people would be out of a job. they would be out of a job. So it is in their best interest to make people think that they are still on the razor's edge of Jim Crow. Dr. Umar? Well, even, like, Dr. Umar, like, I like Dr. Umar a lot more than Al Sharpton. I'll tell you that.
But, Nick, you can say stuff like that, okay, without having to say it like that.
Mm-hmm. The Obama effect? Yeah, sure. And they've monetized it, bro. They have. And it's an entire industry now. And I think that's what's really annoying about it, is hearing that, like, this entire thing is so big. Here we go.
I mean, you talk about the anger that's out there and the frustration, and I think part of the frustration, let's be honest, is that white people do feel like we are being boxed out in major cities in the country.
Because you are. Whenever there are incentive programs and things like affirmative action that privilege people that are not white, then you're being boxed out because there's a box and they said you're not allowed in the box. Duh.
And it feels like, look, there's a little Haiti and there's various ethnic enclaves where you get that local culture and they do their, cultural festivals and that sort of thing. And white people feel like they're being pushed out and they want a space where things are familiar.
Do you feel the same way about the Italian festival that happens in every city?
Well, here's a good example.
Or St. Patrick's?
Well, great example, Italian festival. What about them trying to fucking replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day? Fuck off.
Well, there's no Irish neighborhood in Chicago. Little Italy.
There is.
I mean, there's some remnant in Bridgeport.
Yeah. It's important to note that.
I would even argue that I'm not a big fan of all the little everythings in America. I get that we have Chinatowns. I understand that these things happen naturally. But to view this as something that's positive is, in my opinion, fundamentally un-American. Whenever you become an American, you are no longer Chinese. You're no longer Korean. You're no longer Somalian. You're either an American or you should fucking leave. And I get people that want to stick together, and I understand a certain degree of it, but it's just been romanticized to such a point that it's almost like the amount of segregation is seen like it's some kind of a virtue. I don't like that.
Like, and I'm not trying to get into
It's
like a shouting
distasteful.
match here,
It is.
but like, as a family who coming from a family who did leave Philadelphia in the 60s because of black migration from the South after the Civil Rights Act was passed, there was a sort of like mass flight of white people into the suburbs, and that kind of led to a homogenization of different cultures because they rushed so fast to build these like identical strip mall suburbs that it was very hard to maintain cultural bonds that made different European and white neighborhoods unique around like the 1950s and before. So I feel like the mass suburbanization is also a big factor that led to those like cultural bonds breaking.
Yeah, but why did that happen? I mean, a lot of the suburbanization is because of the race riots in the 1960s. People moved out because of the
People don't want to deal with it.
violence. My grandfather was in the National Guard in Chicago when, after MLK got assassinated, the whole West Side burned to the ground. And people didn't want to be around that anymore.
Why were the riots?
MLK Jr. was assassinated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so does that justify burning down the city?
No, I didn't say it justifies it, but it sure justifies an enormous amount of the anger. The same kind of anger that...
Really? Oh, it justifies the anger? Nobody's mad about them being angry. You're mad about them burning down the city. You know when a lot of people were mad? When Charlie Kirk got assassinated. They were mad when somebody tried to kill Donald Trump 3 times. Were there any riots? Did any buildings get burned down? No. It's bullshit. It's not like these people have a unique monopoly on emotional outrage. It's stupid.
You feel about being left out. The same kind of anger that you're expressing right now about the idea that you're culturally irrelevant, that you don't have a place in society.